Okay, that's the entrance point. Now we are all on here. I want to show for everybody to be able to play when we start with the dynamics. I want to show first the synthesis that I made of the map. Here it is, the map. Look at the work I put here. You can take screenshots or even taking notes of this map. It's called the map of the magician, and it talks about the stages, the energy imprint that any situation can have. Any person can come with one of these energy signatures to a situation, and this will be moving around because it's a dynamic. So first we start with this map that the ego also won't like you to understand it, or will bias some things, because it's like here you have the ego naked in some of the main weapons that it has, that is the Sphinxes, for keeping you stagnant on in an inertia, a modus, a status quo. There's many classes on this on the map, and how to move with the linear time, the circular time, magic crossings, how to identify and how they try to go back to the previous state. The Sphinxes try to keep us in a state and where we can place ourselves. What we are going to do in the call today is reading these Sphinxes and the stages that the person presenting is representing. Which of the energies come in these presentations. So just to make a brief recap of this map, is, remember, this map is not fully explained here, but it's for us to all have the same code. There's the stage of the possible. +1 is the algebraic. In the last call, we talk about it's like the positive side and the negative, but doesn't mean that it's negative. All quadrants have their positive and their useful or the not useful side, to put it in a sense, to not negative, positive. So the possible also is known the quadrant of the beginning, the comienzos, when we are about to start something. We can be waiting, as it happened to me a little bit, that I had to to wait until my mate was ready. Waiting, justification. It's like, okay, this happened because I have to wait a little bit because of my mate, because of who I am. You know, I'm representing those Sphinxes as well at the moment. Or fighting outside, when someone is not letting us in, and we start fighting, fighting outside. When we want to do something and someone is impeding it, we start fighting outside. That's of the Sphinxes, like a recap of the Sphinxes of the first quadrant. So the ego result is to stay at the door, stay at the beginnings. So it doesn't happen. So you just always start things, start, but you keep as a beginner. Because you had to do, and now I have to wait, or those guys that are the bad guys, and you start fighting against someone because everything is wrong. You start fighting outside, so you don't do it. You stay at the door. That's the Sphinxes of the quadrant. Then the impossible is when you cannot. You minus. I not. Cannot do it. So what keeps things impossible in the Sphinxes in here is not identify the failure. not identify the failure or the fault or the flaw. This is multiple F. We are looking here for the power of the failure. This is a very important. The ego doesn't like at all to see that it's not perfect, that you are not perfect. Even though the New Age movement says you're perfect, that's depending on what you want to do. If you're just if there are things that are impossible to you, of course, there's something that is not good. What makes things impossible is thinking that there are no faults in what you're doing that is making it is impossible. That's the logic here. So not identifying there's a fault, reducing, it's just little small, it's a small, just a little bit of my fault. Already dealing with it, I already worked on it, so it's not there anymore. Or there is no fault. I am perfect. There's nothing wrong with me. That's what keeps us in the impossible quadrants. And what the ego result here is to not receive. The ego wants us to not receive, to not grow, to just stay there with what we have, are, and just not receive anything, any input from anybody, because I'm already perfect. And if I had to work on something, I already dealt with it, or it's very small, or is not being able to see it. Okay, those are the Sphinxes here. The necessary quadrant is not see the fault in the other. The O is of the other. Now we start connecting with the other. Now we know what we want. We check if we are missing something, if there's something, everything is okay with us. And then we'll start seeing that the others may start failing. And yes, also we can see, if we cannot see that the others are failing, we are always going to be staying in this quadrant, covering the failure of the other. Many in our calls, we have these things covering. No, he's not failing. It's just, let's just keep along. Let's go along. Let's go along with this and pretend that there's no failure in the other, and fail as the other. There is also the sign is, if the other is blind, I will be blind as the other. Or if the other starts screaming, I will start screaming as the other. So, and those are the Sphinxes that we can detect. Of course, they will not be just like this. When we read the scenario, we are going to find the dynamic. Now in the application, we will see. The ego result is apply just when I need it. Okay, I will just apply the magic. I will just apply what I know. I will just be present just when I need it. So the fourth quadrant is the quadrant of growth or contingent. That can be, cannot be, plus, and plus one, plus one, plus one. They're growing. The Sphinxes here are the absence, not being present, like removing myself. When sometimes when we're about to grow, someone wants to check out, leave, because there's growth there, so the ego is terrified. You can be angry because of growth. When you liberated yourself from certain things and you're starting to grow, you can get angry at something because there's or something that was repressing you, or something that comes up an emotion that the little child inside doesn't want to, is like grumpy about it when we are facing growth. And not recognize the growth. That's another one. No, it's just like, that's growth. It's like not being able to appreciate when you have growth. That's an Sphinx that can can prevent us from incorporating our growth when we do not see it, when we cannot recognize, when we cannot value it. And the last one is to believe that we are above growth. This was like, I already was at that level. I am above. I'm beyond the level I need to grow. So it's like you don't grow because you think that you are above. So those are some tricky dynamics of the ego. Are they useful? Let me check here in the comments. Are they useful? Let's be present.